Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Armband. I'm Chris, Kieran's here too. Keek, how are you today?
I'm alright, thank you. Long day, but yeah, all good.
We're ready for the
Yeah.
weekend, I think is the theme.
Yes, indeed.
Um, yeah, right, let's jump into it because we're recording on a Friday night, deadline's less than 12 or nearly 12 hours away. So yeah, let's talk about some forward thinking and forward planning. But first, we're just going to call back to game week 25, the pretty underwhelming double game week, would you say? I'd say that's
Atrocious
it.
game week. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just all the top picks. I would say all the attacking players who you would expect to do well just had pretty rough weeks, and it was the solid, reliable midfield 90 minuters like Rodri and McAllister who did well, and I mean, who could have predicted that? Yeah, shocking, really.
Classic.
Yeah, so I'll start really. I mean, we had quite similar points in the end. I suppose we had quite similar teams, but yeah, I got 88. You and I both triple captained Haaland. I think the difference between us really was you had Foden, I had Alvarez. We both got let down massively by De Bruyne. Yacht obviously got injured. Really, really sort of mixed game week, and yeah, with Salah coming back in that first game as well, and even though he only played one game, getting quite a good amount of points there. I think it was 11 he got in the end. And then, the fact that KDB didn't come off the bench, ended up being single game weeks for both of them. It's just, I don't know, it just hurts a little bit.
Yeah, and I think me choosing Maguire instead of Saliba, which was just hindsight, just such a dumb thing to do. I don't know why I did that, to be honest. I just looked at the fixtures and thought they looked right, and they have been keeping clean sheets, but I shouldn't have backed against the Arsenal defence, really. Never really liked the double up, so that's maybe why I didn't do it. But you went for Gabriel as well. I think you wanted Gabriel, so yeah. Should have done the other guy as well, Sleever. So but yeah, like Darwin and Jota just getting injured was just nail in the coffin.
Peak FPL, wasn't it?
Kelleher I bought Kelleher in for a hit, and he's obviously got Brentford and Luton in a double, and I'm thinking surely at least one clean sheet, and not even a clean sheet against Luton. It's just like, come on, like with Adebayo out injured at the start as well, like that happened too. I'm sure people bought him in.
Yeah.
Like I just expected a clean sheet at least, and then Doughty on 1 point in a double when all his numbers look crazy most of the time. It's just yeah, a nightmare. And De Bruyne, the swing between De Bruyne and Salah, like anyone who bought in Salah was really just super lucky, to be honest. Like nobody expected him to, he wouldn't have come on. He would not have been on the pitch.
No.
Like he may have got 20 minutes. Like he would not have got 11-point return if those injuries did not happen. It's just unbelievable, really. I said at the end of the last video, I was expecting 100 points minimum. I was on 50 or something, going into the actual doubles of the week, and thankfully Haaland got something in the end. So yeah, nightmare.
It was a bit underwhelming, but anyway, we'll move past it and talk about the next game week, because we can only reflect on that. So I think it's probably quite an important time to turn our attention a little bit to forward planning, really. You and I have both got kind of a different approach to the next block of 4 game weeks, I think, because you're looking like, from what you tell me, is you're building towards a free hit in 29, whereas I'm looking to scrape by and play players, which will mean I think as well, and I already know them based on your transfers, that you've got more of an opportunity to sort of pick players between now and then that have got good fixtures, rather than necessarily players that play in 29. So yeah, should we just talk a little bit about the teams first of all, who we know that Villa, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, I think that's right, and Nottingham Forest look like they're going to play in 29, and they also play in 26. I think that's correct. So there already, it's kind of I think I missed out Burnley in that as well, actually, but apart from Charlie Taylor, I don't think there's anyone who's massively picked. So they're the looking like the most reliable teams at the moment. None of them are really that inspiring. In the last 4 game weeks, the best performing teams for XG Villa right at the top with 8.4, Brentford in at second at 6.5. And XGC, I was actually surprised to see that Forest are like performing the best of all the teams that play in both, which makes me a little bit worried for Villa investment this week. But then again, Villa come in at second in expected goals conceded over the last 4. So I feel like this season I haven't really considered any players from Fulham. West Ham, the second worst of all teams for XG over sort of the last 4 games, but they've got great fixtures. There seems to be a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like none of the picks are optimal, which makes it really difficult, I think, in my scenario to try and pick through that. Whereas you've obviously focused on, like, I'm just ignoring that fact. I'm going to free hit and I can focus on teams who've got good fixtures in this term. And yeah, Wolves, I suppose, being top of that list, playing Sheffield United at home this weekend. So yeah, I think it's an interesting time. What do you think about like how it's fallen with this like block of 4 and the 2 blanks and yeah, teams not featuring?
My team, I think I looked at the planner on FPL.team and I had like 3 players playing in Game Week 29 at the moment, and there's obviously like there's 3 weeks until then. I could get to like, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 without taking tons of hits, and that just doesn't seem worth it. And so for me, I think I'm just going to play the fixtures up until 29 and out of 29, and then look to maybe wildcard around 31 possibly. So yeah, it's just I bought in players for the double, obviously knowing I would have to take players out. But I wasn't expecting all the injuries as well. So I've already done 1 transfer. I bought in Hwang for against Sheffield United at home, obviously this weekend. Wolves look good, beat Tottenham at the weekend, and the fixtures over the next few are like really worth targeting in my opinion. Obviously, they've got Sheffield United this weekend, then Newcastle away, then Fulham at home, then Bournemouth at home, and then Aston Villa away, but then Burnley away after that, Fulham, West Ham at home after that, Forest after that. So basically their fixtures until the end of the season are pretty good, to be honest. They've got mixed fixtures in between, but that's the same as every team. But like there is runs of good games in there, and we've seen that Wolves can certainly score goals this season. They're no longer the like team that just basically does nothing in front of goals. So Hwang versus Neto has been really difficult. I don't know. Do you want me to go into that straight away?
I think so, because I think it's an interesting topic, and I think you're right. They do have a lot of good assets there to invest in. Yeah.
So this is the sort of cream of the crop, or the sort of the most transferred in players across Twitter at the moment, anyway, or X. And Neto versus Hwang seems to be the topic of discussion, but. Neto is 5.7 million. He's a bit more expensive at 3.9% the last time. Well, when I did these, so he's probably gone up by then. And Hwang at 5.5 million at 3.6%. So, they're both differentials if you bring either in, of course. So at FPL Black Wolf on Twitter said he's obviously a Wolves fan. It said Neto's involved in everything good. Hwang can disappear in games, but he's a poacher. Neto is on set pieces, is a set piece threat. On all of them. And then Hwang, as far as we know, with Cunha out, is on penalties, but Sarabia is possibly a threat, isn't he? But they've never been on the pitch at the same time when a penalty's happened, so we don't actually know. But Grass versus Analytics. This seems to be the stats are basically all in Neto's favor, but at the same time, I feel like Neto is setting up Hwang for assists. Like Neto gets loads of assists, Hwang is going to be putting them in the goal, right? So we want the goal scorer rather than the assister. So XGI versus Tottenham was 0.25, and Neto got 5 points for 0.25 XGI for Neto. He got 5 points in that one, and then 0.36 for Hwang, who got 2 points, so he blanked. Hwang got the more XGI but blanked. Neto got a return. Game week 10, so there isn't that many good opportunities where they actually played together this season, but game week 10, they both played versus Newcastle, which was 2-2. They had Neto had an XGI of 0.19, sorry, and he got 5 points. And then Hwang got 0.53 and got 7 points. And then in game week 9 versus Bournemouth, so the week before, XGI for Neto was 0.54, which got 4 points. And Huang got an XGI of 1.05 when he got 4 points. So basically, it's clear to me at the moment is that the XGI doesn't actually seem to indicate FPL returns. So it depends on the players finishing, the finishing of the chances created and stuff like that. So really, I think like they're likely to blank in 29. So that's obviously why I'm bringing them in, something in free hitting. But the run of fixtures is obviously good as well. Neto surprisingly has more touches in the box than Huang, which is really odd to me. 77 versus 73. So Neto's obviously missed a ton of injury. Huang's missed quite a few games through the EAG Cup as well. But Neto has actually had more shots than Huang, which is also surprising to me considering their positions of the pitch. Neto, Huang obviously the striker, Neto the creator. So outcome for me out of these two, I think is basically just pick either one. Just go vibes on this. I think just pick whichever one you want. Like spoiler for my team later, I've already bought in Huang. Hopefully he's on penalties. He's been a poacher. He's been good for you this season when you've had him. I think he should be the one scoring the goals, and that's obviously the name of the game.
Yeah.
And the fixtures look good. Sheffield United look there for the battering every single week. So yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I think it's a good, it's a good time to get on them as well. Like the Sheffield United game is obviously plum, but I think Newcastle, considering they're like bottom for expected goals, I should say top, most likely to concede goals over the last 4 game weeks, which, given how good they were earlier in the season, they've just totally flipped that. And, Bournemouth went there without any fear a lot last game week, got those 2 goals, and everyone that sold Solanke for a double game week striker was just like, was cross. So, yeah, you could sort of see them returning away at Newcastle, especially after just having, like you say, a good game away against Spurs, and Fulham's a great fixture at home as well with Paulinho out. So then
Newcastle's defense is like one of the worst in the league at the moment as well. So
absolutely, like I think rock bottom on XGC. So yeah, they're I do think they're a good investable team, and there is still a chance. Also, they play in game week 29 as well, which we didn't mention a minute ago, but we're going to know. I think, is this right, that we're going to know what games are happening in 29 by game week 27?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So I think it's something like Brighton have got to beat them at their place, and then
which I think certainly could happen.
It could happen, yeah. So it's a tricky one, because I do like you. I like Huang, and I like this set of 3 fixtures for him. But then I'm looking at it like, does he in these 3 fixtures, for me anyway, outscore someone that's definitely going to play in 4 fixtures? And I think that's like the crux of pretty much most people's decisions this week.
I think because I bought in Huang, and if they get beat in the FA Cup or whatever, like I feel like he's someone who I could be sort of flexible with. If they do sort of play 29 or they get knocked out of the FA Cup, and he's suddenly a player who's playing, I could then pivot possibly to just bring in players for 29 and trying to get by with maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 9 players possibly. I wouldn't mind that. I don't think you need to necessarily have 11 in that week, because it does look like crappy teams. So yeah.
No, I kind of agree with you, really. I feel like it's one of those ones where you maybe take a risk on the teams that you think will get eliminated in the FA Cup, or perhaps not want to progress as far. And it's hard to say, but Wolves could be a team. You can't predict any football match really, and even especially in the FA Cup, you don't know how much rotation there's going to be, which teams are going to take it more seriously than other ones. So yeah, we are almost like shooting in a bit of a barrel at the minute, trying to work out who's going to actually play in 29, and it's almost like the laser focus is so, especially for me, it's like I want to have a good amount of players playing in 29. I'm with you. I think like 8 or 9 could be possible in that week to not play a free hit, but then you're like missing all the chances you don't take in between that time, where someone who could be explosive, low owned, has got great fixtures. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. Like, so I mean, I'm happy to compare that to, West Ham is, being talked about quite, or West Ham are being talked about quite a lot, because they have great fixtures in the next 4. Brentford at home, Everton away, then Burnley and Aston Villa back to back at home. So there's on paper winnable games, but when you look at how poor they've been, recently there isn't much, to want or to make you want to invest there. And when you look at Wolves, who are when you look at West Ham, who are definitely playing in 29, you kind of think that's a great block of fixtures to invest in. But I just think there's so many question marks remaining about like what you do, whether you do invest in that player that has that extra game, where you take the chance on someone that has better fixtures. It's really tricky. So like Bowen for me, or Kudus as well, even James Ward-Prowse, players that have just been consistent minutes players in the West Ham front line who could get returns between now and then in good fixtures, but are they going to, or decent fixtures, are they actually going to blow up as a player like Hwang or Neto, who have got more form playing in a team that are more in form as well? So yeah, really tricky.
I feel like the last fixtures they've had when they've been terrible have been fixtures that should be good for them on paper. Man United away, Arsenal at home, Forest away. They should be good fixtures where they're just like Bowen is allowed to just go on the counter, Kudos on the counter and stuff like that. That they should be games that they should at least be competitive in. They just haven't been at all. Yeah,
no, it's a bit of a worry really, and a lot has been coming out sort of about sort of third party football stuff about whether Moyes is going to get this renewed contract. So it just seems like Bowen has blanked in a lot of game weeks, and I think it's like 5 or 6. And considering how hot he was at the start of the season, I can see in the chat now, Michael's Svendin has said, who do you prefer, David Luiz or Bowen? And I kind of feel like that's like my top question at the moment, because I'm looking at players like that who I know are 90-minute players. Bowen's obviously perhaps not on penalties, but he might be on the odd free kick set piece. But yeah, he just doesn't fill me with confidence at that price.
Yep. 6 weeks of blanks. 3 draws, 3 losses in that time for West Ham. And there's talk about Moyes being fired as well, isn't there? So
it's a shame. It's almost like you want to give them a game to see, but this is the week really. You want to jump on board with that, and maybe there's enough evidence. But yeah, Bowen's had 1 big chance in the last 4 game weeks. Expected points of 12.1, so it's basically 3 points per game week average. He's played all minutes, and his ownership is still quite high at 16%, which I think is probably just a hang up from earlier in the season. But yeah, the trust to invest in these players who play in both of the games, I think it's a small pool you're picking from, really.
Yeah, Carlos mentioning Paqueta potentially back. Antonio is back now, but Antonio was back last game and they were still terrible. So and that was against Nottingham Forest. Like, that is a good game. So they should be doing something when Antonio's back. Like, I don't know. Maybe you just blind faith in him and off his historical form where he can just sort of pick up goals from anywhere, really. So yeah, it's tough. Obviously, Douglas Luiz. I think I saw somewhere on Twitter about like he's got lower or around the same sort of expected non-penalty goals of just like some absolutely atrocious players that you've basically never heard of in the league. So his non-penalty XG is atrocious. So, but he just keeps managing to return. So, and when you compare that to Bowen, he's night and day at the moment. But it's just you're bringing in basically a centre midfielder who's.
No,
I don't know. It's scary just bringing in someone like that because you just feel like they could just blank for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to, you mentioned Paqueta as well, and I kind of feel like he's a big part of that West Ham side playing well, or big reason they will. And Moyes was pretty non-committal in his press conference today. It was what classic "we'll wait and see," which I feel like we had quite a lot earlier in the season when it came to Bowen. So yeah, you can't even be confident that they're going to get their mojo back, even if he comes back anyway. And it's like a big ask of him to come back into the team after being out for a bit and pick up there. So yeah, I don't know. My thing on West Ham at the moment is I'd want to see them get any sort of form before I bought any of their players, even if they play in 29. And because they haven't, I just don't want to risk getting him, really. Or
sounds like you prefer Luiz then.
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, I agree. He's not exciting, and I don't think there's a game where he's going to get a 10 or 15 point haul. But he's been consistent this season. Admittedly, for like a low price, he hasn't actually got that much ownership. He's still less than 10% owned. So I mean, if you're looking at Luiz and who you'd probably say is a more attacking midfield pick in that Villa team, for these next 4 game weeks, which is Bailey. They've both returned 18 points in the last 4 matches, and there's not much between them attacking wise. Like Bailey's had one more shot in the box. He had one fewer big chance created than Luis. Luis absolutely crushes him on bonus points, which has been part of his like attraction this season. Douglas Luiz has only had 2 returns to Bailey's 4 in the last 4 game weeks, and he's got 4 times the amount of bonus points because he's just whipping in those key passes and he's so creative. If he gets any sort of return, you're pretty much guaranteed to get 2 or 3 bonus points, and much easier for him to do that than get a multi-return. And I think I like the fact with Luis that he's playing in a better team that've got more to play for, even though he's not getting involved in the sort of the general attacking play. Let's say he's not a threat from open play. The fact that he's got set pieces, he's got corners, and he's on penalties is just, I don't know, it's just sort of reliable potential points, if that makes sense. Like they don't have to be playing well like it seems West Ham do for Bowen to score. Whereas with Bailey, he could just nick a goal from a set piece or some long cross into the box. So spoilers, but I'm probably going to get, and also, we're talking about 29 for me. You would probably never consider Douglas Luiz because you don't need him, but for me, he's the best of a small selection for this and game week 29.
Yeah, so 24 against Man United, they lost 2-1. He got 1 goal and he got 10 points. He got 3 bonus just from one goal in a 2-1 loss. It's just, man's getting bonus.
He's been doing it all season. It wouldn't. I mean, I haven't actually looked, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was like one of the highest bonus point earners in the league this season. Because every time I look at his stats, he's just like off the chart for key passes and chances created, which is obviously helping him perform so well. So I like Douglas Luiz, but you're not. We talked about him earlier in the season, but you're not as much of a fan, are you? Really, just because he's not open play exciting.
Yeah, I try to avoid players like him, players like James Ward-Prowse, the players that just like sound really good on paper and just like and do tick along, but then they just often just drop off, just then don't return for weeks. So I just try to avoid those sort of players that aren't going to be goal threats.
I agree. And to be honest, he wouldn't be like my normal pick, which is why I've not owned him all season. But I'm going to pretty much guarantee to wildcard in game week 30 because I'm going to be bringing all these duds for game week 29. But if I look at this at like 4 as a 4-week block, I like the game against Nottingham Forest. I like the game against Luton away. I like the game against West Ham away, and Tottenham at home I don't mind either. Like none of them are frightening fixtures to own a cheap player for who's going to start and maybe get some sort of set piece return. So I feel like he could get some jam. And I just had a look at the bonus points. So he's had the second highest amount of bonus points over the season. Gross and Salah have got 23 of them. He's got 22. So I think if I can cheese some bonus points, I'll be happy.
You considering any of their defence? Those fixtures are good for defence.
Yeah, I don't. I've seen a lot of. Don't have any particular like stats about Villa apart from their expected goals conceded and how their expected goals conceded of 7 in the last 4. So that's nearly 2 per game, which isn't great. And to be honest, you've had Conser, and I've experienced Villa defence earlier in the season with Cash, and they're pretty unreliable in games you would expect them to get clean sheets in.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I did look at Moreno for a time, and he's quite expensive at 5.2. Like when Gabriel's only like a 0.1 or 0.2 more expensive, I don't think Moreno offers like that much more in this next block of 4 fixtures. He maybe might get 1 return, but I don't know about Villa's defence. What do you think about them? I mean, you own Conser longer than I did, or
they were. I don't think I'm looking at them for the time being. I mean, the fixtures are fine, but like Luton have just been Luton have been looking like they can score in most games. Forest have been better lately.
Definitely.
Spurs, obviously, you're not expecting one there.
Nope.
And then West Ham have got Bowen and stuff like that. So
they could.
They could. Yeah, Wolves at home maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get any clean sheets of those 5.
No,
to be honest. So yeah, even though it does look good on paper, it's tempting. But no, not for me.
No, I kind of even they've got like 2 clean sheets in their last 5 games. That was in that Sheffield United game and that 0-0 away game against Everton. But I think it's just I've been burned so in the season with Cash so much, and it just doesn't. And I know he's not going to be involved, and I wouldn't pick him. It just doesn't fill me with confidence that Villa defense.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Shall I mention someone? So someone else I like, or a team like maybe not a team completely, but yeah, Brentford. Who obviously got West Ham United at home this week or away, sorry, and then they got Chelsea, Arsenal. Their fixtures are not great. Burnley away, and then Man United at home the next 5. But I still like Tony as a pick. 8.2 million, 9.2%. Yeah, he plays in 26, 29. 5 goal involvements since returning in game week 21. Scored versus Liverpool and scored versus Spurs. Mentioned him quite a lot already in the last few weeks. He's obviously a good pick. I feel like if you've got a Darwin or someone like that, he could be a good option, obviously. And then there's Reguilon as well. He's a player that like picked up 5 points in the. I should have picked him. I could have picked him instead of Maguire, and he would have been playing 26 and 29. It's just like you looked at the fixtures, Liverpool and City. I was just thinking, there's no way he comes out with more than like 2 points in this, and or even 1 point. And he got an assist and 5 points, and everyone's looking rosy who picked him because the next fixtures are looking good, and he's basically taking most set pieces. It seems like he's taken over from whoever was taking them before, and Bummer, I guess, and Jensen and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a solid pick. Like West Ham away this week, that could be a clean sheet, like with how badly they've been playing. So yeah, don't mind them at all. Brentford look good for the blanks anyway.
And then there's obviously yours to get him. I mean, have you got any thoughts about getting him? Because I know you're looking this week at. You did have Darwin in your team.
Yeah, so I do have Darwin, and I'm probably gonna veto out of Tony, and I'm gonna talk about the next guy who I'm gonna pick. Will be Solanke.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.9 million, 19% now. So he's still a bit of differential. But the fixtures are just insane for them. After, obviously, Man City this weekend is obviously not great, but they are at home. Like, that's probably a little bit of a leveler. And, we've seen City just concede in so many games, like just stupid goals. And Spurs did it to Solanke last weekend where he got the easiest haul of his life. So the fixtures are like Man City at home, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, Luton at home. I think that's the double. Yeah, insane. But we saw like really good fixtures for doubles last week, and it didn't work out. But Wolves away, Everton at home, Crystal Palace at home, Luton away. Like that run is like pretty much insane. Like that cannot get better than obviously the City game. So yeah, he's had 12, 4, 2, 8, 2, 2, 6, 17, and 7 in the last however many that was. I didn't even count. He's turned into a reliable FPL striker, to be honest, which is surprising coming out of Bournemouth. But he is like he's the third highest scoring forward in the game, 126 points. He's 8 points ahead of fourth place, which is Alvarez, and Alvarez has plays for City, played every single game this season, started every game. So being 8 points ahead of Alvarez,
that's quite big, isn't it?
Playing for Bournemouth is good on him, I guess. So over the last like 6 weeks, I think this is XG of 4.39, which is third of all strikers, 19 shots, which was actually quite far down. I think it was something like 10th. But 6 big chances, which was up in second, I think it was. 7 key passes, 2 big chances created, an XA of 0.35. So the XA isn't that great, but he does have 2 goals and 2 assists in that time. So the next 3 fixtures obviously look pretty good, obviously, apart from the Man City one. But in the reverse fixtures, he's actually blanked in all 3 of them. So he blanked in the City game, he blanked in Burnley at home, I think it was, and then Sheffield United away, he blanked as well. So those are 2 games, the Burnley and the Sheffield United ones, you're certainly expecting points. And the fact that he blanked in the reverse fixtures doesn't fill me with the best confidence, but it's just, it's those fixtures and the double. Like, I can't really look at anyone else. But if I transfer in Tony, I'm just going to be looking at Solanke against Burnley, Sheffield United, like for the double. Like, it just makes sense to bring in Solanke.
And his effective ownership captaincy in that double game week is going to be crazy because every engaged manager who's still playing is captain in Solanke that game week.
It's going to remind us of the Watford doubles a couple of years ago where we all like Captain King, or who was the other guy? I can't remember what he's called.
Dennis.
Dennis, that's it. Yeah.
Dennis. Yeah, maybe,
So
maybe. I don't know. I just feel like he's reliable now.
yes, yeah, he is. There's a little bit less risk because he just seems like he's having such a good season. So
Yeah, and he's on
yeah,
pens as well. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not getting him this week because it seems silly to get rid of Alvarez. Given De Bruyne's injury, Alvarez looks like a keep. Watkins is obviously going nowhere. Same with Haaland. But from next game week, when City's fixtures are the Man City and the Liverpool games back to back, I'm absolutely dumping Alvarez for that Burnley away game for Solanke. I just feel like he'd get him then and then get the benefit of the double game week. I think he just looks good for it.
yeah. For me, it will have to be a hit, but
Okay.
it's Darwin's not playing at all, so it's kind of like a -2 because he'll just get the points from
minimum.
the just playing, and then he's just in for the doubles and everything else, the blank as well. Like, yeah, he's a good long-term pick.
I think if you're especially if you're hitting out a player who's not playing this week and they're playing either the double and the and then 29, the double or 29, it probably doesn't seem like that much of a big deal at the moment. That's my sort of view on it. Like, I was looking at potentially, I'm sure others were as well, like if De Bruyne was out, it would even be worth, even if he was only he's out this week but he's definitely back next week kind of thing, he would be out this week for a hit because it would probably be worth doing it just over the long term because he's not playing 29 either.
Do you want to mention him quickly? I don't know. We both got him. What are you doing with him?
Well, yeah, on Pep's comment today, so he's like up to 30% now. So he's going to be affecting a lot of people. But yeah, Pep's comment today was like he's not injured. But did he say he wasn't 100%? It was something like...
he said he's not injured, but he's not... he wasn't 100% in the last game. So obviously they didn't bring him off the bench. But yeah, they said he's going to travel. We've been surprised before. He could randomly start, but it sounds like he'll probably get 20 minutes off the bench, maybe. But like, I'm in a position where it would be a -8. Or I guess a -4 if I'd be taking him out. And he's not been ruled out, so it feels kind of stupid because he can get points off the bench. We saw him in the first game. He came back, didn't he? He got 11 points off the bench in 20 minutes. So
it's really tricky.
It's still a good fixture. I don't think I'd be moving him on unless I was on a wild card or a free hit or something. Like, it just doesn't seem like the right time because most of us have probably got Liverpool players who are blanking and injured.
And Son as well, who you probably would maybe get otherwise, who's not playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think for you it's a bit different because you've got to think, like, the long-term fixtures for him after this aren't great, but do you want to, like... Because after this Bournemouth game, let's say he gets 10 minutes and he gets a point if he comes on, he's then got United at home, which admittedly, that could be any score. But then you got Liverpool away and then Arsenal away after. Arsenal at home after that. So they're all big games. So I reckon he will be managing his minutes. So
yeah, I was kind of looking at sort of taking him out for Salah by the time 27 rolled around anyway, and obviously Salah is not fit at the moment. So it kind of negates that a little bit. But maybe another person who I'm going to mention is Spurs. Obviously, game 27 to 33 is really good as well. Son is obviously the major benefactor, I think, or the person that everyone's going to want to get. So obviously they blank this week, but afterwards, Crystal Palace at home, that's probably new manager bounce area. That could be a little bit of a worry, but still. Aston Villa away, Fulham away, Luton at home, West Ham United away, and then Forest at home. That's until 33. Then after Forest, it gets really tough. They've got Newcastle away, Man City at home, Arsenal at home, then Liverpool away. So those 4 in a row is gross. So you'll probably want to get rid of some by there, but maybe not, because that does seem like something that will suit him, obviously. But yeah, after 26, that seems like a really good run. Son in for KDB, that doesn't seem too bad for me.
No, I don't think so either.
But yeah, Spurs. Son had a 0.00, so he's not even registering XG versus Wolves at home, and he played 90 minutes last week. So that's not great.
No.
He had a 0.0 XG, again, not at registering, versus Brighton at home off the bench where he came back. He played 30 minutes and still got 0 XG. So not great. But before his Asia Cup absence, he was on. He got 9, 5, 7, 2, 17, 2, and 10. So he was obviously on a really good run. Possibly it's been time for him to sort of settle back into the squad. Obviously, the front four are all basically all fit now, and he's sort of having to reintegrate. So I think if he's at only 16% now, Son at a differential sort of ownership from 27 onwards seems pretty good to me. I hope he gets back to the sort of the kind of XG that we're used to seeing, and he starts to put in some points, because you don't want to see him too far out on the wing and not getting any points. But yeah, it's a shame they don't play this weekend, so we can sort of judge that. But yeah,
I think it's obvious he's going to be included on everyone's free hit team in 2029. But if you're on ahead of that, like you say, he's still a low ownership player. If I was really pushing and I had transfers in hand, I think I would get KDB out next week for Son, because I would fancy Son to do well in that sort of next block of games.
That's probably what I'll be looking at, to be honest. Yeah, and
just get on him early before everyone else, because I guess he's more reliable 90-minute player than De Bruyne is, and as explosive as De Bruyne can be, he has got a blank coming up, and they've got some big games, and you can't guarantee they're going to win by multiple goals, and he's going to get big returns in all of them.
Yeah, and I did talk about Salah as well. We don't know if he's going to be fit. Like Forest away obviously sounds like a great fixture, but then it's City at home, Everton away, but I think that is a blank for Liverpool in 29. So I think most people's options is that Salah doesn't come back till 30 or 31 when they wildcard. So Son in instead for that time from 27 onwards seems great.
Yeah, I'm just kind of accepting that my team's going to look gross for like 4 weeks, and then I'm going to just wildcard and fix it all. Like, I hate having double defense, even if it's Arsenal. I just don't like that one goal ruins like so many potential points. But yeah, got to be done. Right.
I've got issues all over my team, I think, at the moment.
God. Well, should we go on to that? Have you got any more to talk about for this?
No, I think we can. Shorter show this week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll quick turnaround. Well, if you've got lots to talk about, we can do your one first. Look at Hwang in there. His goalie kit on.
Yeah. So, I'm obviously hoping that Taylor starts. He hasn't started for a while. Obviously, he got some minutes last week, which is fine. So hopefully he comes back in. I bought in Kelleher last week, as I said.
Did you actually make any points on that?
1 point, I guess.
Okay. Right,
so, yeah. So I've obviously got the only other choice is I sold Areola, so Dubravka away at Arsenal. Hopefully some save points, maybe. Most people have got Areola still. I think he's got Brentford at home, which is obviously a much better fixture. So hopefully that doesn't swing too hard towards Areola. Maguire, I'm hoping is okay at home to Fulham. He's an issue as well, because I don't even know if he got injured at halftime last week. Obviously, he got hooked because he was yellow carded. I don't know if that was hooked for, possibly avoiding a red, or was he just being crap? Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to play this game, but I hope he does. Not sure. There's obviously what we talked about with De Bruyne. He's probably going to get benched. And then I've got Darwin still to sell, who I obviously will take to Solanke, I think. But that will be -4 already. Hopefully it will be okay. Hopefully it's one of the weeks that looks quite bad that actually just surprises me. I mean, because I need something like that, because the rest has been pretty woeful for a while.
No, it's an interesting game week. So you can take a -4 to get Solanke. Yeah, okay. All of the actions happening this game week is happening tomorrow. Although I say that, you're going to have Hwang on the only game on Sunday, and then Monday night it's West Ham against Brentford. So yeah, it's going to be
boring.
The last 2 games are a bit boring. To be honest, I like the moves, but I suppose it's a lot comes down to. Well, maybe not a lot comes down to, but there's like you say there's not optimal player in Taylor playing, which I think is probably going to be happening for everyone. There's a question mark on Maguire and De Bruyne, and then obviously it's just the hit to bring in that other player. It's just why this was always going to be a tricky time. I feel it's the same with all these blanks.
There's just not much I can do. I'm not going to wildcard in this situation, so I'm certainly not going to free hit because I'm going to need it in 29. So I just see what happens, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think Hwang's going to be quite big this week. But even though I'm not going there. But anyway,
it's probably Neto's going to be the one that holds it. Neto to Sarabia for every goal. So yeah.
We haven't talked about captaincy, but like maybe this is a classic overthinking. I don't want to go down the path again now that Haaland's back. But like Saka has been on fire in his last 2 games. I think he's got back-to-back. I think he got 15-point and a 15-point back-to-back game weeks, and then he got 9 points and then 10 points the previous week. So he has been like, absolutely shredding it up. Newcastle bottom for expected goals conceded. They're at home. I've been thinking maybe I captain Saka, but I just don't know if I can bring myself to do it. It's the classic FOMO of Haaland just being good, but he hasn't been like electric since he's come back, apart from that Everton game, which was all in the like last 10 minutes. But
I think I think he blanked away at Bournemouth last season as well.
Did he?
So yeah, it's just Arsenal were pretty woeful last night against Porto in the Champions League. So I don't know if that means much for their Premier League form, but I think Saka will definitely be my vice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'll just leave on Haaland.
It's just the fear, isn't it? Which I hate. He's 75% owned. I'm pretty sure most people are still going to have the armband on him after last week. I just like Saka this week, but I just don't know if it's worth the risk.
For me, I feel like it's just going to be a game where City score early and then it's just they'll score 3 or something, and Solanke will get one consolation goal.
Yeah, could be. All right, let's just hop over to my team very briefly. So Areola in goal, which the goalkeeper situation has been so crap all season. I'm not expecting it any to be different.
Yeah,
I've got that double Arsenal defence for the first time, which they're surrounding Taylor. Midfield like you, De Bruyne, Saka, Gordon, who I obviously don't want to return because it's just going to wipe out that double Arsenal defence. Then Alvarez, who I expect will probably play if De Bruyne is injured. Watkins, so. Yeah, I've only got 1 free transfer, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do Jota to Douglas Luiz, because I think that'll give me 11 appearances and 11 starts if De Bruyne plays. I think all the others are pretty nailed on to start. And like I say, the only question I've got is whether it's worth captaining Saka or whether that is just like really dangerous. Oh, it's just they're playing on Saturday night. Can you imagine if I got through the Bournemouth game and Haaland's only got an assist? Oh, it would be exciting, wouldn't it? But I don't know.
Go for it.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Anyway, there we go. Cool. I think that's all pretty straightforward. Douglas Luiz, Jota, and then at the moment, I think I had about 6 for game week 29. So I've got moves to make. Cool. Right. Have we got any more to add on that one?
No. I just hope it's not a shit show.
I hope it's not a shit show.
Yeah. Just do a nice relaxing week with points, please.
Nice relaxing points week. That would be nice.
That would be lovely.
We had a few questions in the chats from. Well, actually, Fraser just said, "Will Walker start?" Walker only had 7 players. I kind of think Walker will start. He's only missed 1 game all season.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
And again, he's been pretty reliable for City at the back, and I think it was only just that 1 game around the time the news with the scandal broke that he was left out. So. Yeah, I think you should be good there.
Wasn't it funny that Edison got like 11 points and stuff in the double? Where it's just like
crazy.
It's just all of the weeks recently, it had just been like City conceding and just so annoying.
Yeah, it's
just classic.
It's crazy how double game weeks happen. Like I was looking at who had done well, and I mentioned McAllister because he was minutes, but like Gakpo got 17 points across the double game week. He hadn't managed like 17 points collectively in like the previous 6 games. I don't think it was any game week this season where he's back to back scored 17 points in 2 games. And yeah, it's just not many people owned him. It was only like 3%, but it's just crazy how that can happen in a double. And maybe when we get to double game week 28, we should just do like some really random pick like Chong from Luton and who's like a really random Bournemouth midfielder who's probably like
Scott or something.
Scott, yeah.
Alex Scott.
Scott. And then we should just like each just gamble on one crappy, not popular pick and then just watch them blow up. What do you think?
The thing is with
that?
Gakpo, like if those injuries did not happen, he would not have got that much minutes either. Like it just the series of just unfortunate events that happened for like Gakpo and Luiz owners. Like Luiz had been crap for weeks as well. Diaz, like Like, honestly, and then he gets something like 14 points in the double. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was just such a weird game week. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's why it makes it quite interesting. And Robertson coming off the bench to score, and of course we didn't even complain about Van Dijk scoring. You were going to get Van Dijk the other week, and then you didn't. You got bloody Doherty.
Yeah, wussied out of it. Yeah.
Oh God, it was just ridiculous. Anyway, hopefully none of that FUD's going to happen this week because there's fewer players to let us down. Right, well, on that happy note, we've got 11:30 tomorrow, or 12:30 I should say. We've got Aston Villa against Forest, so we'll find out by 2:30 if Douglas Luiz has been a huge letdown.
I don't think there's any games at 12:30 tomorrow. I think it's at all 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, well,
all at 3 o'clock.
Oh, well, there we go. I was wrong. Cool.
Yeah, then there's an 8 o'clock game for some reason.
Oh, my bad. Oh, yeah, that's the Arsenal. That's right. Arsenal Newcastle's late. That's why I was just thinking late night Saturday.
What is happening early morning? I have no idea. There's usually a reason for them to do that.
I don't know.
But
maybe it was one of the blanks that was scheduled to be on TV or something.
Possibly. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Maybe Tottenham Chelsea was on. Anyway, that's enough of us chatting about that, isn't it?
Yes.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks all.
Goodbye. We'll be back. More regular slot next week.
Yep.
Good luck.
Cheers, and
bye. Look at us.